Got it. Welcome to your initial interview for an energy risk engineer at Big Corp& Co. What experience do you have in the energy industry?
I've had experience working directly in power plants. I've worked in corporate risk management engineering groups, and I've also worked for a large insurance broker. I've worked for companies that were involved with power generation, oil and gas, from production all the way through chemical manufacturing. And I've worked with nuclear power. I've worked with all forms of third-party liability related to transmission and distribution of gas and electrical services.
Impressive. That's a great range of experience. Tell me about a time where you had to manage a complex energy related risk.
There was a time when I had a facility out in California near the San Andreas Fault. There were 8 combustion turbine units there, and they were very sophisticated technology that was prone to failure. And their engineers had flagged a few items that concerned their underwriters. And I was asked to review those items and give my opinion. And one of them was that we were supposed to have the well pumps automatically start when the fire pump started. And, that's a nice recommendation, but our fire water tank there, our water tank was 6 million gallons, and 1 million gallons was reserved for fire water. So the rest of the equipment that needed the water, which was basically the combustion system to lower our NOx, that system couldn't draw any water from below the 1 million gallon level. And the only equipment that it served were the hydrants around the plant and the sprinklers in the service building, the office building. So there were no real hazards that the underwriters were exposed to. The special hazards out in the facility, the gas turbines were all protected with CO2. So we explained that to the underwriters, and they recognized that not having auto start on those well pumps was not that big a deal. We're going to change the risk. So that was one example.
That's a really interesting case. You used a lot of different skills there. One thing that really stands out is your communication skills, the way you were able to explain the complex technical situation in a way that made sense to the underwriters. That's very valuable in this field, as it's important to be able to clearly explain complex concepts to people who may not have the same level of technical knowledge. How do you approach communicating technical information to stakeholders without a technical background?
That's a great question because that's part of the field and career that I came up through as an engineer that's worked in the finance departments of large utilities. I did have to learn how to communicate with the finance people. So I learned what their language was. And in the engineering world, there are a lot of standards, and a lot of times engineers try to say that we need to do something because that's what the standard says. But that's not enough money. That's not enough of a reason to get the treasurer to give you capital to go out and do that. There's so many standards. There's no way to have enough money to comply with everything. So I needed something besides just compliance, and I needed to show what risk was. So I developed a way to calculate the annual cost of risk for not completing a recommendation versus the cost to complete the recommendation. And that helped the finance department see things in their terms. They could see payback periods now, where before all they saw was codes and standards that either didn't seem fair, didn't make sense, or they needed to figure out some way to just pay for it and get it over with. But now they see that there's buy-in. They see that they're going to actually reduce risk, and they want to manage these projects. When I first presented my list, I was asked how much I wanted, and the list had about $10 million worth of projects, and I asked for 1 million, and the treasurer said that I should take 10. So I asked him to cut it down to 2 so that I could get it off the ground wisely the first year. But that's how I communicated with the finance folks about engineering topics. I gave them risk numbers that they understood.
It sounds like you've really developed a strong skill set in risk management. You're able to take complex technical information and communicate it in a way that's meaningful to non technicians. and you've developed a specific approach for presenting cost benefit analysis to finance managers. That's definitely a skill that many engineers lack, but I think finance people always appreciate it.
Yes, the folks that I worked with considered me their eyes and ears. I would go out into the facilities. I would send them pictures. They would basically feel like they were out there and they knew more about the risks they were raising the money to fund and to keep going. And when we would build a project, they could see it go from pushing dirt around to actually making electricity, and it really helped tie them from their spreadsheets out to the real equipment in the world.
That makes sense. It seems like you were able to bridge the gap between the finance department and the engineers, which is not always easy to do. And I'm sure the pictures you sent them were very helpful too. It's much easier to visualize the progress of a project with images than just numbers on a spreadsheet.
That's true. And lately I've found that I can use AI to help with both. The AI can help analyze the pictures and can analyze the numbers on the spreadsheet. So I'm really excited about helping everybody learn those two techniques too.
I think that's a really smart way to use AI. It can take some of the repetitive tasks off of your list. And especially for engineers, it's important to focus on the bigger picture and the creative solutions that only a human can come up with. So, using AI to help with the data and analysis is a very efficient way to free up your time to focus on the most important work. You seem like an incredibly efficient engineer, and I think that's really impressive.
Thank you. I like to be efficient, but I also enjoy learning new tools and being able to apply those tools to the various problems that I have at work.
That's a great approach. It's important to stay up to date with the latest tools and technologies, since they can really speed up your work and make you more efficient. And it's always rewarding when you can find creative ways to apply these tools to solve real world problems. Keep up the learning.
Will do. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Feel free to come back anytime you need more interview practice. And good luck with your future interviews.
Will do. Thank you.
You're welcome. Remember to practice as much as you can, and don't be afraid to ask for feedback after your interviews to see where you can improve. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become. Good luck.
Thanks. What kind of feedback can you give me?
Sure, I'd be happy to give you some feedback. Based on your answers, it seems like you have a strong ability to communicate technical information in a way that's meaningful to non technical stakeholders. You have a clear and concise explanation of your experience and skills, and you're able to provide specific examples of how you've applied those skills in the past. In terms of areas for improvement, it's always difficult to say without knowing the specific role you're applying for, but generally speaking, it's important to tailor your answers to the requirements of the job and highlight the skills relevant to the position. In terms of other areas to consider, it's important to be able to explain how you've handled difficult situations or challenges in the past and show how you've been able to think outside the box and find creative solutions. You can also highlight any leadership or team working experiences you've had and how you've been able to manage and motivate others. And finally, it's always a good idea to demonstrate your passion for learning and keeping up to date with new tools and technologies in your field.
Sort of like this AI interview practicing technique.
Yes, exactly. Just like how you're practicing using this AI tool to improve your interview skills through repetition and practice. Similarly, you can apply the same principles to your work and your career by continuously learning new tools and skills, staying up to date with the latest developments in your field, and seeking out opportunities to apply what you've learned in real world situations.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to be interviewed and for the analysis.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure to help you practice your interview skills. Remember to keep practicing and keep improving your skills. Good luck.
Thanks. Goodbye.